Welcome. I'm Coach Shaggy. This is the first episode inside the MAC, 30,000 foot view of what we're about here. It's everything MAC conference related. I've grown up in the Midwest, so very close to Western Michigan. Kind of fell in love with the conference. Love the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night games. It's always a fun conference. Grew up watching some of the studs: Jordan Lynch, Dan Lefevre, Willie Snead, who was a Ball State legend. He was a neighbor of mine. Played high school football with my brother. They won a state championship, so that was kind of cool. I just love the MAC conference. We're going to be doing this roughly 30 minute every day, talking about the MAC conference, off-season stuff. We got transfer portals, we got camps, we got predictions, all that good stuff. We also will have some gaming content to go along with this. Big college football player. Am I great at the game? No. But I have fun playing it. And so we're going to do some Road to Glory stuff, kind of bringing back some legends. We got a Jordan Lynch series going on right now. All that and more. If you see this little sash on me, that would be because I got to introduce my sometimes co-host. This is Nugget. He's my puppy. He is very puppy-like, though, so he kind of needs to be close because he's not super trusted, especially around cords. And that's just kind of the situation we have ourselves in. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about last season. We'll get into next season, and then we'll talk a little bit about college football, the video game. Let's get into it. Well, last season, Ohio won the championship over Miami. They won in the MAC championship 38-3, a domination. We're just going to quick run through a couple of the records that stood out. Ohio finished the season 11-3, Miami 9-5, Buffalo 9-4, Bowling Green 7-6, Northern Illinois 8-5, Toledo 7-5, and then Western finished 6-6. Those were the teams that were 500 and above. Notable under the 500, Kent State 0-12, recently dismissing their coach. More on that and later stuff because it's kind of an interesting situation. Can Kent State figure it out? Bowl schedule 5-2. There were some good matchups in the bowl season. Specifically, you think about that Toledo Pitt game in the Sports Bowl, 48-46, a multiple overtime game. Those are big wins for this conference. Things like that. Northern Illinois took down Notre Dame in the regular season. Huge victory. Notre Dame obviously went into lost in the national championship, but nonetheless, that was kind of a game where it took the nation by storm. They ended up getting ranked, which was obviously a little too early in this process because they finished 8-5. A couple of other bowl games. South Alabama beat Western 30-23 in the Salute to Veterans Bowl. Ohio beat Jacksonville State 30-27 in the Gasparilla Bowl. Could be pronouncing that wrong. Northern Illinois over Fresno State 28-20 in the Idaho Potato Bowl. Talked about the Toledo game. Arkansas State beat Bowling Green 38-31 in the Veterans Bowl. And then Miami of Ohio 43-17 over Colorado State in the Arizona Bowl, and Buffalo over Liberty 26-7 in the Bahamas Bowl. That Buffalo over Liberty game, bigger win than you might think. Love seeing Northern Illinois over Fresno. Obviously Toledo over Pitt. Miami of Ohio dominant in their bowl performance. What was interesting too about that conference championship was Miami had beaten Ohio earlier in the season, but they say it's really hard to beat a team twice, especially when, depending on how you win the game. If it's a close game, it might not be as difficult, but if you beat a team pretty handily, it's really hard to beat them a second time because when you go back to the drawing board, you know where you went wrong. You know what you got to do to progress, what to fix. If you're on the winning side of things, not as much. It's kind of, you have to play the future game where, well, what are they going to do differently this time to counteract what we did? How are they going to try and find more success? And then you're kind of playing a guessing game, and they can catch you up behind sleeping. And Ohio just dominated all facets of the game there, which good for them. Good for them. A couple other big non-conference games that we saw. Bowling Green, two very close games against two good teams. They lost to Penn State early in the season, 27-34, and then they lost to Texas A&M 20-26. Toledo beat Mississippi State 41-17. Obviously, the Bulldogs had a very down year. But those Bowling Green games are interesting. You got pair those with the Northern Illinois win over Notre Dame. And it used to be a thing where, you'd have your Cinderella story MAC team every once in a while. You had your Northern Illinois in the Jordan Lynch era. They had some good seasons. Western put together quite the seasons. The Corey Davis years. Alex Terrell at quarterback. Forgetting his name right now. Why am I forgetting his name right now over at Minnesota? It's coming back to me. PJ Fleck, thank you. Thank you, Brain, for finally turning on. PJ Fleck his years at Western, they did some awesome things. But with this transfer portal, it's getting a little interesting. It's still in the early stages of figuring out, well, what does this look like? What is this going to look like for these smaller conferences? How do you stay afloat? How do you stay competitive? And we're starting to see some issues with that. I think Max Crosby actually might have pledged some money to the Eastern Michigan Collective. I don't know if that's an every year thing or if he just gave a lump sum for them to go get some guys. And also, where I think the transfer portal is going to help these smaller schools is they're going to be able to get some D3, some D2, maybe some NIA guys or JUCO guys trying to get a chance. And now it's like, well, they might be going. This might be a landing spot for them to launch them somewhere else, and that's fine. That's fair. That's what's going to happen. That's what's been happening with these schools anyway. Before the transfer portal was what it was with the NIL and all of this, it still was kind of a launching ground a little bit, not to what it's been. Well, we've seen some studs come through the MAC conference in years past, in histories past, and gone on to be very, very successful in the NFL. And, that's kind of something that we might see a little bit with this transfer portal going forward. Who knows? Who knows? Looking at, that was last season, now looking just ahead to next season. Obviously, spring ball finishing up, transfer portal windows still. Guys have now entered. I think the window is closed for them to enter the portal, but they can still decide where they're going to go to school. Looking forward, there's a couple things that are going to be interesting for this season in the MAC. Number one, UMass is back. They spent a little bit in the MAC. I think that was 2010 to 2013, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. That was when they were in the MAC, and then they left to go independent. There were some talks about them leaving completely. It was a whole thing. But now UMass is back. I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it does. The sad news, though, and when this came out with a bunch of conference realignment stuff, was very sad about. This is Northern Illinois' last season in the MAC. They have a storied history. They've done some awesome things. This is their last season in the MAC, and I know. The Huskies are going to be missed. They're joining the Mountain West, which is going to be a lot of travel for that school. There's some other teams going in there. To quickly speak on the conference realignment, I don't like it. Not just Northern Illinois leaving the MAC. I don't like that move regardless, but I don't like what we've seen, the Pac-12 dismantling, and now it's going to remantle as something else, and we're just seeing all these shapes and shifts. I think USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon being in the Big Ten is silly. I do. I don't see the value it provides. Taking the Pac-12 away, I don't see what value that provides. I get, the Power Four, and they had the 4 seeds, whatever. I don't like it. I don't think it's good for the sport. I don't think it's good for college athletes. And you're seeing it. You're seeing other schools get affected, and then you have the whole situation where certain sports are in certain conferences, then they're not in the same conference. It's a whole thing. I don't like it. I think college football is getting monopolized aggressively. And that's to be expected. You got to make money. I understand that. But there's a way to do it that benefits, I think, the schools, I think the kids, and I think the coaching staffs. And I think there's a way that you're just tailoring towards A, making money, and B, trying to get the TV deals and all the stuff that the games the fans want. You're seeing an Oregon-Michigan game mid-season or something like that. And that's cool. It's fun to see that. I think what we're going to start seeing, though, with these mega conferences, because one of the things with the transfer portal, the spring one, you can't transfer in conference. I think something else they should add to that is you can't transfer in conference at all. You have to sit out a year if you do. To me, that's fair. You should not be able to go from Michigan to Ohio State or Tennessee to Texas and be able to play the next season. The reason for that, honestly, not just because I think, there's other things that I don't love about that, but I think the big thing alone in that is that's not a lot of time to be off of a program, and you're might have to play them. You might have some stuff that you can give them, and there's going to be insider trading, what have you. That's going to be interesting. I think we're kind of in a feel it out right now time in college football with this NIL. We saw the stuff that happened with Nico Iamaleava in Tennessee. And now we're seeing some stuff with Arkansas and Madden Iamaleava, Nico's little brother, who also just transferred back to UCLA. It's going to start a precedent because Arkansas is demanding money now from Madden Iamaleava, and I think that's going to demand kind of a reprimand or reform essentially to this NIL where there is accountability, there is money you have to get back, and we might actually start seeing full-fledged contracts, which I think is good. I think that is good. Players should absolutely be able to make money off their own name, but it's turning into pay-to-play. You're talking about $10 million defensive ends, $10 million quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers just took an $8 million pay cut to go to the NFL. And I think we're hopefully at the tail end of this. We got 26-year-olds playing in college football. The COVID years should be done by now. But even Dylan Gabriel, he was chasing down Case Keenum's record. And I don't think he should be on the record books because he played 6 full seasons, essentially. He had the one little asterisk here where it wasn't quite a full season, but he at least played 5, which you're not supposed to do. You get 4. You get 4 seasons, and we've kind of lost that. And it's turning – semi-pro is the wrong word, but it's essentially turning into that. And I think we're going to see some reforming. I think this conference realignment stuff, I don't know how that gets worked out. That might be something 10, 15, 20 years down the line that we might see them try to start reforming. They might start it earlier, but you just never know what you can and can't do, and it makes things a little tough and interesting. But that's the situation where we find ourselves with Northern Illinois leaving. The Husky Nation, we're going to miss them. Hopefully they have a good last season. I think they could go out with a bang. They could reload. They had a solid team last year. There's going to be some heavy hitters this year in the MAC. Looking ahead, just some of the non-conference games to get excited about. Week 1, we got Buffalo and Minnesota. We got Miami of Ohio against Wisconsin. Toledo against Kentucky. I think Toledo could beat Kentucky. I think Buffalo beating Minnesota of those 3 games might be the biggest stretch to me. I think Miami of Ohio could beat Wisconsin. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm not saying it's going to be close. I'm not even saying there's a 50-50 shot. I'm saying it could happen. I like Toledo over Kentucky panning way out. Obviously, we don't have set rosters. We don't know who's starting in any positions officially yet. But I don't know. I could see Toledo taking down Kentucky. Then we go into week 2. We got Ball State, Auburn, Akron versus Nebraska, Ohio versus West Virginia. Don't love Ball State taking down Auburn, unfortunately. Akron over Nebraska, also a likely no. Ohio versus West Virginia, maybe. Maybe. That's the one maybe I see in that one. And then we go into week 3. We got Eastern Michigan against Kentucky, Ohio versus Ohio State, Central Michigan versus Michigan. Unfortunately, I don't see any of these upsets happening at best. Maybe Eastern Michigan over Kentucky. I don't think there's a screaming chance that Ohio beats Ohio State. I also don't think Central does anything against Michigan, but that's neither here nor there. Then we go to week 4. We got Kent State, Florida State. No thank you. Week 5, UMass taking on Missouri. Also no thank you. And week 6, Kent State versus Oklahoma. A no thank you. Here's Kent State's issue, is you're coming off an 0-12 season. You got to rebuild this program because it has been bad. Bad for a couple of years. Now you got Florida State and you got Oklahoma. Is it going to be a brutal schedule? And it's hard. That's a hard recruiting tactic. It's like, yeah, you get to play these cool schools and go to these places, and that's awesome just to get bulldozed. That's not really something that you should be super excited about, but, that's kind of the situation they find themselves in. Another thing that happened this offseason just recently, the draft happening. 2 guys drafted out of the MAC. Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo, was taken with the first pick in the 3rd round to the Giants. And then Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green, was the 3rd pick of that round. He was taken to the Browns. This is both these guys I think can be impact players. Darius Alexander I think will have more of an immediate impact. His stats don't wow you off the table when you look at them, but he's done quite well. Here's what I will say about defensive tackles. Defensive ends are a little different. Defensive tackles from a stat category standpoint. Yes, always. If you have great stats, that speaks volumes to someone that doesn't have great stats. But if you're that dude as a defensive tackle, offensive scheme around you, whether that's a center guard double team, whether that's running back assistance, all kinds of things that they can double, triple team almost that can make you ineffective, or you're going to help your other teammates out. I don't know right away if he'll provide that. He's not going to command double teams right out the gate. I think he has the tools to be that guy. He's super, super strong. He gets off blocks well. He's a good pass rusher. He's got a great push-pull move that you see out of a lot of the strong D tackles. I think he can do well. It's going to be interesting to see how he does with the Giants. Just that organization is tough to see what's going to happen. On the other side, Bowling Green tight end Harold Fannin Jr., he had an unbelievable season, led the FBS in receptions and receiving yards per game. He was a stud. And here's the thing. He didn't only do it against MAC teams. He did it against Penn State. He did it against Texas A&M. He was that dude. It's going to be interesting how they use him. The Browns obviously have 35 quarterbacks now. They're going to have the Shedeur Sanders media hype train. And, he's honestly maybe third, fourth string when you look at who they got there. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting situation. That's for them to figure out. But talking about Harold Fannin Jr., here is where he's interesting. He's a playmaker. He is a playmaker. He's got good hands. He's got good route running. He can make you miss in space. He's an athletic guy. Where his game isn't as good, he's not a bad blocker. I'm not saying he's a bad blocker. He's undersized for the position. He was undersized for the position in college. He's super undersized for the position in the NFL. What does that mean? Not a ton right now. We've seen undersized guys do it all the time. Where does his game translate? I think he is a utility weapon. I don't know if he's your tight end one. I don't know if you're going to stick him out there, especially with Njoku. I don't know. He's not going to take his spot. Njoku's a good blocker. He's a bigger frame, bigger body. He's got great ball skills as well. But I think he can add that either a two tight end set. You can honestly split him out in the slot and do some things with him. You can put him out in wide. He's not going to beat you down the field vertically. But he could against the linebacker, maybe a nickel back. He could do a couple things. I think Harold Fannin has an exciting upside. I think Darius Alexander is going to be probably more of a day one impact guy, depending how minicamp goes and how preseason goes and how they use him. But I think if Cleveland can figure out how to use him dynamically, he could be a special player. He could be a utility guy. He's a guy. I'm a Detroit Lions fan, obviously being from West Michigan. Wouldn't hate to see him in the Honolulu Blue. Obviously, we got Laporta and Brock Wright, and I love those guys. But at some point, with our young core we have of Gibbs, J-Mo, Laporta, Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchins, we're going to have to sign some big contracts. We can't keep them all. We know that. Wouldn't hate, maybe, if he pans out, to add him someday down the line. Kind of going into some of the other things that we're going to be doing with Inside the Mac. Obviously mentioned, Instagram and Twitter. You can follow for all updates, be tweeting and posting all the transfer portal updates, starting updates, injury updates, Mac news. All of that is going to be there. As far as YouTube, that's where we're going to be. Podcast uploads will be there as well. But we're also going to have some Road to Glory content and some Dynasty content, some College Football 25. And then once eventually 26 comes out, we'll be doing that as well. What we're doing right now, Jordan Lynch playback. So I think I'm in my sophomore season, just got to be a starter. I haven't uploaded the first part of that one yet, but just going to be making the guy exactly as closely as I can make them to what they were coming out of high school and trying to recreate their careers at the school. Do I stay at the school the whole time? Do I transfer? I don't know. I haven't decided yet how that's all going to look. But there's going to be that. We're also going to do some dynasty stuff where I'm going to become some just small school. I might honestly do a team builder school, take a school out, and just campfire myself, simulate, and just see what happens with the Mac and record that. I think that would be kind of fun. So there's going to be some stuff on YouTube coming. I'm thinking after Jordan Lynch, maybe an Antonio Brown, maybe Khalil Mack. The only issue is you can't do D linemen, so you'd have to make him a linebacker. I don't know. The world is my oyster, as you could say. College Football 25, though, just a quick nod onto that. Love it. It's a great game. It was great to have college football back, but with anything that's coming back. There's going to be some, I don't want to say shortcuts, but there's things that, game developers are going to focus on more than others. Gameplay was obviously a big focus, and it lacked in some of the features of the game, which we saw. And I think, when it first came out, probably for the first several months, it was like, don't care. I think high school being missing was the biggest one, but it was like, we're just happy to have it back. Looking forward to college football 26. A couple things confirmed. Coaches are in the game, real coaches, which is nice, finally. The big one is there is high school coming back to Road to Glory, which to me, releasing Road to Glory without high school was wild. I don't like picking the star recruit thing. I don't love that, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. I like it kind of for while I'm recreating some of this stuff, but that's neither here nor there. There's going to be some more animations they talked about as far as, fan interaction, stadiums. There's not confirmed on what they are yet, but keep you updated with that. Things I would like from that animation standpoint, field rush has got to be in the game. More of stadium atmosphere. Mr. Brightside by Michigan, Rocky Top, Tennessee. There's, these songs that are sung, the West Virginia, John Denver, Take Me Home. I think that would add awesome things. Enter Sandman by Virginia Tech might get me to even make a Virginia Tech dynasty just to hear that every home game. Just putting that out there. Do your thing, College Football 26. Things that I want from this game, though, gameplay-wise. Couple of the big things that were annoying, but you could put up with it because you just wanted the game back. Wear and tear is egregious. There is realisticness to having that in the game. I like the aspect of it in the game. You should not be able to hand it off to your running back 8 times in a row on the same drive and have him just be fine. Like, he's going to be a little tired. He's going to be a little beat up. That's fine. What I don't like, though, is certain guys, it feels like, it doesn't matter the toughness, the injury, the stamina rating, one carry, and it's like -8, -12, -15, wear and tear. And that's frustrating, and it gets annoying, and it's just that part's not realistic. Someone who played football for 14 years, it's not realistic. You even when you are injured in a game, you don't take one hit or tackle one guy, and it's like, well, my speed, I'm now like a second slower on my 40. No, that does not happen. But it can happen if you get another injury, but it's not an every game kind of a thing. That is there. The biggest thing I think needs changing in the gameplay is the offensive line. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Yes, some guys are better at run blocking, some guys are better at pass blocking. My guys that are bad at run blocking and good at pass blocking, still better at run blocking. And I have a, I'm an online dynasty with a group of friends. Very good team now I have with San Jose State. I'm like a 92 or overall or something, but I got 90s across the board on my offensive line. When I'm playing against good teams, yes, I expect to get pressure. I'm playing games against 78 overall teams, and I'm getting sacked 5 times a game. Part of it's user. I'll take the blame. Part of it is user. Sometimes I hold the ball too long trying to wait for a play to develop. Fine. But a guard that's a 93 overall should not be getting dusted by a 70 overall D tackle. He should not be getting swam every 3 plays. It's not realistic. I think they could revamp the offensive line play quite a bit. The other things that I would like in the game, I think just more detail. One of the things I really liked about recruiting in NCAA 14 was I like to sort by different categories. There's some things you can sort by. I like to be able to sort by speed. You used to be able to sort by 40 time. Can't do that. That's obviously a little thing. I think there also could do more in depth with the recruiting side of things. It does kind of feel like, hey, just throw a bunch of hours at a guy, and the more hours you throw, the more points you get, and we've done rinse and repeat that. And the third thing, I think there could be more dynamic to it as far as, hey, if they're coming on a visit, here's XYZ things you get to do. I think you get to pick something when they come on the visit to talk about, and that's fine. I feel like in a games pass, it might have been 13 that there was, I think it was NCAA 13 that was phone call, and you got to talk about things. And just little things that, it might take more time, but it's worth it. At the end of the day, that's my opinion. I think it is worth it. Who am I to know? Who am I to know? Next episode, we're going to be talking about the draft. We'll be more in depth on both of the guys, both Darius Alexander, both Harold Fannin Jr. And then we're going to go through the list of undrafted free agents. There's a lot of guys that got minicamp invites, and there's a lot of guys that got signed out of as an undrafted free agent from the MAC conference. We're going to talk about all of that and more next time here on Inside the MAC. Have a good one. I'm Coach Shaggy. I'm out.